Sinbad Gully, like I think I first heard about it maybe 10 years ago, Paul. Was that when you first?
Oh no, the year 2000.
So yeah,
January year 2000.
So we're talking almost 13 years back now, and I remember when you guys put up Shadowlands and I read it, and I was like, holy shit, like there's actually this big steep overhanging wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it, you know, initially went with some aid and then later went free. So like, and pretty much like, Paul, almost every time that I've bumped into you, and maybe the same for Mary, like we've bumped into you on some of the same occasions, you've always been going on about us to go to bloody Shadowlands. Go to Shadowlands. Why don't you like why don't you go to Sinbad and do it in your route? So I guess Mary, like Paul's talked it up.
That's pretty much what inspired me really to get in there. Like.
Yeah, and I mean, was he full of shit or is it actually good?
No, it's good.
How did you actually, like, how did you find out about Sinbad, and then B, what was it like the first time you went in there?
They were looking for the opening sequence to the vertical limit, and so people were pulling out all sorts of stops trying to find like a really wild wall that we could do a stunt on. And it's ironic that, you know, like, so, you know, Mark Fettu was the one who put me onto it, and so I turned up, caught up with some friends of mine on the vertical that were still working on the vertical limit, and they showed me these photographs, and so I'm like, right, I just finished working at the Sir Edmund Hillary Outdoor Pursuit Centre as a field manager, time for me to get away and have my own adventures. And so what I decided to do was I needed a climbing partner, so I found Craig Jeffries, and almost living under a rock. I fed him, dressed him, and bankrolled the trip. And we flew into Sinbad Gully because we'd heard about this mythical wild overhanging wall. And we get in there and we run up to this crag, and I'm like, and this crag's got a more of a north facing aspect, and it's just ho-hum grassy Fiordland cliff band, you know, they're a dime a dozen. And I sit there and I'm like, what an idiot. You spend all this money coming in here and you've got plenty of things on the go all over the show, and you've been given some bad beta. So we just sit there for about an hour. So we just lay on this rock for an hour, and we have something to eat and just sun ourselves, and basically I look across the valley, and there's this sort of, you know, dark, featureless looking, shady kind of wall. And I just said to Craig, well, let's go for a walk over there, eh? We might as well go and take a look. And we go over to the wall, and the wall gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then we start picking out features. And I guess if there were big features, they'd be too big to climb, but as the wall becomes more animated the closer we get to it, and then we go up to the bottom, and eventually it's like, fuck, look at this. And then we touch the rock, and we just wrap our hands around these amazing holes, and it's just holes going off in all directions, you name it, laybacks, features, flakes, underclings, everything. We're like, fuck. And then there's a waterfall coming down, and it's like, I think it's overhanging, you know, and we picked the right line to start, you know. You get to the 60-meter ledge, and I just took my helmet off, you know. Craig's like, why are you doing that? I just said, no need for a helmet now, there's nothing can touch us now, and because the wall just kicks out from 60 metres overhanging.
You're a pretty strong free climber. You've free climbed El Cap, you've free climbed Half Dome. Just chatting to you and knowing you do fall off occasionally. Like when you were establishing a route, like, you know, you've got pictures on your climb up to grade 29 that you know, either led on gear or bolted on lead.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that it's bloody hard to do 29 and not fall off.
But yeah, definitely took some falls trying
Yeah,
to lead that thing. But it's definitely solid 29, I think, and like I thought it was 29, then I went back in and broke a hold off. So I think it's solid 29. It's the same gear again, hoping that it would just slow my fall down, and if I fell, and I fell again, yeah, a bit from higher, and it ripped out, and I ended up beside the P layer again. But then I managed to get up to that point again, and I got a hook placement in then, again with a bit, knowing it a little bit better, you know, I managed to get a hook placement, and then I got a bolt in, and then it felt good, you know, and so then from there, you've got a bolt, you're happy, I know I'm not going to end up at my B layer again the next time, so I climbed a bit further back to that gear that I was aiming for before, managed to get up there and, yeah, up higher, like through on that, this is obviously talking about the crux pitch, up higher, there's a bit where where it's quite hard, and while I'm putting those bolts in, I'm thinking about where I'll be clipping them from too, because I'm not obviously just standing up and trying to place a bolt, because I don't want to just put a bolt in because I'm trying to get through the thing. I only bolted where you'd want to clip it from. Like, I didn't want to just stand up with a bolt and put another bolt in to get through it. I wanted to really make sure those bolts were only there for the actual route when it was time to climb it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Climbed, is there a comparable place you think for new routing opportunities at all the levels like we've got here?
Well, I mean, there's something really unique about the granite in the first place there. Like, you know, there's other places that I've climbed in have a lot more, if you like, traditional kind of granite features, cracks, splitters, flake systems, dihedrals, and in Fiordland, I don't know if it's the density of the rock or the rock structure or whatever, and the kind of glaciation that's occurred there, and the youngness of New Zealand, but it's not as heavily featured as the places that we've climbed in Yosemite, Pakistan, Greenland, those sorts of places. And so the features are just not big features in general. So I think that makes it harder, and makes the climbing harder and more challenging, because you've got to kind of link up. You don't necessarily get a clean run of natural gear. And what really draws me to Fiordland is understanding the forces of nature. When you're climbing down there, you feel the ice age.
No, I can understand that, because sitting on top of the Kaipo wall, like I imagined the dinosaur walking down the valley in front of me, like you feel like you're in the arse end of nowhere and no one's coming to rescue you. You got no cell phone.
It's not like you're in Yosemite and there's buses honking their horns beneath you. Yeah, mate.
And what I really like is, I mean, there's something for everybody down